All right, Mandalorian, Chapter 14. We're almost done with the season. Jeff Lowe, Robbie Fox. I don't know where everyone is in the screen right now. Jeff Lowe, Robbie Fox, KenJac, talking Mandalorian, Chapter 14. Third to last episode of the season, the penultimate episode coming next week. This one, we didn't know what to expect. But look at Robbie Fox. He's not just wearing that hoodie for reasons. He's wearing that for a very specific event. Spoilers ahead. Do not watch if you don't want anything spoiled. That's it. That's the last warning. First and last warning. Massive episode. We did not know what to expect. I think there was some potential like filler talk. A lot of people wanted to use the word filler. That gets thrown around a lot, like it's even more of a side quest, setting up what to see next. Not at all. Went right to the planet where Baby Yoda, GROGU. I'm going to call him GROGU this episode. I'm going to give it a fucking trial run, okay? We're gonna test out just saying GROGU. I wrote in our rundown of notes, I only put GROGU. He went right to the Force planet. We saw Boba Fett. What a wild episode.
My God.
So
it was insane.
The most unexpected episode I think we've had yet. I'm not saying my favorite. Like I liked it a lot. Not my favorite, but like in terms of like what we saw, you were like, what the fuck?
I mean, from the second you see the Slave One come down on the planet, it was, oh my God, like what is happening? And then it just kept rolling. Like everything that happened going forward, I was like, holy shit. I mean, I know that we'll get into it, but as soon as you saw the episode title was The Tragedy, I was like, oh, fuck, we might not be getting a filler episode this week.
And it's weird because it is so unexpected, even though we not only were teased Boba Fett earlier this season and really last season as well, but like the second the Slave One comes over that horizon, dude, like goosebumps. That's fucking, what a crazy moment in Star Wars history that is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the Boba Fett episode, and it's a fulfillment. I think non-fans will like the episode. It's fucking action-packed. Some of those brutal Star Wars we've ever seen in terms of combat.
Very Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, we'll get to
that. Was, I was going to say one of the coolest parts of the episode for me was that we knew that he was directing. It took me about 5 minutes for me to be like, oh, this is the Robert Rodriguez episode.
Exactly.
The second the fighting started, it has a very like a lower budget look. It's not a lower budget look. It just has a very
Grindhouse view.
Yeah, Grindhouse look to it in terms of weaponry and just in terms of how they're using the weapons, like just the way the camera movements go, the look of it. It all felt very Robert Rodriguez. And we'll talk a little more about
upward hero angle is the most Robert Rodriguez shot you can ever get. And you get that throughout this entire episode. Crazy.
I guess initial thoughts. Again, I like the episode. I had a great fucking time with it. I've enjoyed, with the exception of the second episode, really the entire season. I think for non-fans, this was probably an enjoyable episode. It's hard for us to gauge that because we are not non-fans at all, but more so fans of Star Wars, it very fulfilling just to see Boba Fett
definitely
on screen and do things that, like, I've long called Boba Fett overrated. We haven't seen him do shit ever.
I was going to say that old video. We need like an old takes exposed Jeff D Lowe stamp over that video now. He's not overrated anymore.
We heard Boba Fett talk more in this movie than we've heard him talk ever. Or in this episode, excuse me. So yeah, it's a very fulfilling episode. Quick thoughts. I imagine you guys both, obviously so far, I can tell you liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a self-professed Boba Fett like nerd. The first episode of the season is still probably my favorite, just because I love that whole Cobb Vanth Western story. I love that he was donning Boba Fett's armor, and from the second Boba puts his armor on forward, it's like the most hype shit I've ever seen in my life. I was losing my mind, like I was on the sidelines of an NBA dunk contest the whole time. There's obviously some sad stuff that we'll get into. I kind of thought that the downer stuff, seeing our guy down on his luck, would be the finale stuff. So I'm very, very, very interested to see where the next two episodes go, because I was like, what if we get an Empire ending to the season where they grab GROGU, they fucking take him away, and then it's like, da-na, we'll see you next season.
Yeah, now I think we're gonna get the crew being put together. But I mean, this episode was awesome. Seeing Ming-Na Wen back in the ring, Fennec Shand, the franchise queen. We should call her the franchise. That should be her nickname, because she's now in Star Wars. She was in Marvel with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she was also in she was in Disney, obviously. She's
gonna have to battle Rosario for it now. I just watched Lego Batman last night. I forgot she's Batgirl too.
It was kind of cool. You see almost this like lone survivor type fight where they're up in the mountains and they're, they're against insurmountable odds. Obviously, you get Boba back in the mix and his armor, a little bit overfilling the armor, but I love that. It's more authentic that way than having him just go back in with some fucking stunt actor doing all this crazy shit. So, I mean,
He's a unit.
Exactly. He's a big-time unit now, and using the melee weapons, like you said, these brutal stormtrooper kills where, like, the armor's disintegrating and exploding. It was such a great episode. I don't think my favorite of the season. I still think the last episode I liked a little bit more. In this episode, there's some ham-fisted references, a little tiny bit. We'll talk about those in a minute. But, man, I really like this one.
It's, again, I start it and I end it smiling and just enjoying that this is the Star Wars we're getting right now. You feel lucky. You're like, all right, as a fan, I'm fired up. Like I'm fired up that I get to watch these as a Star Wars fan for 8 weeks out of a year. And now going to be more once they do these spinoffs as well. And it seems as though one of the spinoffs will be Boba Fett, which we'll eventually get into. But you end these with just a smile and you have fun as a Star Wars fan, and that's all we ask for. Let's get into the episode.
The only one I didn't end with a smile. What are you talking about? We had some
Baby
setting shit at the end of this one.
You smile as a fan. You're like, I love this. I love Star Wars. That's what you say. Mando, GROGU, they share a bit of a moment in the beginning. Mando loves saying his name now, which makes sense. He's been going for all these. He's been calling him the kid or the child. Now he actually has a name to put to his friend.
He makes the cute noise every time he calls him that, too. That little coo, that's maybe the most adorable coo he's got in the arsenal. Even
Grogu's like, oh, shit, finally, man. I've been trying to tell you my name for years. Like, what's going on here? I've been trying to get you to know what my name is. So Mando enjoys that. He enjoys using the ball, like the little ball and the lever with the force pull from Baby Yoda. He kind of, like, feels like he's training him, it looks like, almost. Like, Mando kind of likes that he's taking up that mantle. Doesn't think it's that hard. They arrive on TITH. We mentioned in our last breakdown, very force-heavy planet, one of the original planets with the Force. A lot of the lore of the Jedi and Sith are built there. Darth Vader's been there before in different expanded universe, I believe, or maybe even canon. I forget how exactly it ties over. But it's a historic planet for Star Wars. We see it for the first time in live action, and we immediately go to the rock. The rock that GROGU, the stone that Ahsoka says GROGU's going to sit on and hopefully connect with the Force and call out for somebody, call out for a Jedi to maybe come help him. And they get there on jetpack, though. It is funny, Mando with a line saying we're going to fly in with the windows down, and it's just him holding. Really risky. I mean, the grip.
It's like Superman and Lois Lane in Star Wars now.
He's loving it, though.
Baby Yoda eventually starts meditating and connecting with the Force, this big blue beam into the sky. He's meditating big time. I mean, that's like all out
doing
meditation.
The finger connect thing and everything.
Yeah, he's got all of it. But as that's happening, we see the reveal. A ship comes in, and I'm like, oh, that's Moff Gideon. Nope, Boba Fett. It's Slave One, which is just, again, that is, it's not as stunning because we knew Boba's in the season, but I think the three of us had moved on. We were like, we'll see Boba another time. Like, Boba doesn't fit into this, but Boba's been tracking him for a while. Boba Fett flies on in, and you're just like, whoa. I said it out loud at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh, shit.
Same. I mean, this episode, like, they waste no time. They do that cute thing in the beginning with Mando and GROGU. And then, it's like, boom, we're getting into meditating. He's on the fucking rock. Let's go. Here we go. Boba Fett, Fennec Shand. Do you remember this guy? Dark Troopers. Let's go.
So Mando goes down. He's got to leave GROGU up there. He tries multiple times to penetrate that force shield. I don't know what he's thinking.
I know. Every time he did that, it's like, bro,
understand magic
working
at this point. Come on.
He didn't even get really close. I don't know what he was thinking. He goes down to investigate. Boba kind of fires on him, tells him to halt, and he's saying, hey, I'm looking for my armor. And Mando's like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, look, we got to make a deal here. Don't shoot at me. If you shoot at me, we'll fire upon you. And Mando's like, who? You gonna fire on me? And it turns out, no. Boba said, she is gonna shoot the child, the thing you're looking after, the small passenger,
your small companion. I think
yeah, small companion. There it is. And it turns out it's Fennec Shand, who we saw in the Tatooine episode from last season. She was shot, and we had thought killed. And this also now confirms that the boots and the feet walking over Fennec Shand's body were Boba Fett on Tatooine. So those rumors were confirmed. Congrats to those who guessed that right.
Shout out to those people.
He said a very funny line where he mentions like that armor was given to me by my dad. It's like it wasn't really given to you, pal. You kind of stripped it off his dead corpse.
That was big time killed by Mace Windu. He turned Fennec Shand into like a cyborg, put some robot parts into her to keep her alive. Remember, she's a sharpshooter. Once was with the Empire, now more of kind of like a bounty hunter hybrid thing. So she's a very dangerous person, but working with Boba Fett now. So they kind of agree to team up. He's like, look, if you give me the armor, I will help you out. I will help you protect this child. Mando's like, I don't know. Like, that's Mandalorian armor. You're not a Mandalorian. Get back to that.
What's the creed? Say the secret password.
Yeah, Jesus, dude. Just give it up, man. Like, get rid of the fucking your hokey nonsense already. Like, clearly the guy thinks it's his armor. But we'll get back to that. They resolve that later on because in flies an Imperial troop transport. And then this is where the Robert Rodriguez badass fighting kicks in, because there are some moments here. It's some of the most brutal kills we've seen in Star Wars. I do want to know, Mando actually did put his jetpack down at one point, and we'll also address that in audience questions. Yeah. He puts his jetpack down. That's how Boba can calm down. Boba's like, I'll lower my weapon if you lower your jetpack, and we kind of go at peace here. So Mando now runs for the hills. He goes back up to Mando got a lot of exercise this episode. Goes back up to the mountain to go protect Baby Yoda. And as that happens, outpour all these stormtroopers. You have a mortar trooper that's like shooting.
The mortar's insane.
Yeah,
what? I never expected to see a mortar in Star Wars.
That's a brand new Star. We have not seen that stormtrooper in anything, not even video games. We have
the yellow engineer, I think, coloring as well, right?
He had the yellow engineer stuff on. We saw the orange pauldron of the which as a kid they were fucking sand troopers. That's what I call them. They were sand troopers. They're on Tatooine. But it's the stormtrooper commander. So the stormtroopers are going at him, fighting back and forth. Fennec Shand's a sharpshooter. He's making some great shots. They bring out one of those E-Web heavy artillery cannons, which we saw in the last episode of season 1. So Fennec Shand fighting them off. Boba, a little more hand-to-hand, has a gaffy stick, a Tusken Raider gaffy stick, and is beating the shit out of stormtroopers. The
way he uses it is amazing. The way it's hooked, he like pulls guns out of people's hands. He's stabbing people with the other end of it. This was Robert Rodriguez was like the perfect person to actually make this guy badass for us and make him everything we ever wanted to see him be.
So many times when you see stormtroopers killed not by blasters, it's like a Ewok throwing a small stone at them, and you're like, "What? Killed them?" These guys were dead. Boba's
they were getting like their faces mashed in,
shattering the helmets with
exploding them. Oh, there's like a whole martial art behind the staff, which was so cool. Like he had his own martial art like designed around it, which it was just incredible stuff.
Crazy. So there's this huge back and forth. Boba eventually kills the commander, the one with the pauldron. Fennec Shand shoves a boulder down the hill. Looks like
MXC
Indiana
style.
Jones. Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah,
MXC just destroying all these troopers, and the one guy's just trying to shoot it with the E-Web. Like, bro, you think you're stronger than a fucking boulder?
He was convinced he was going to blow that thing up before it killed him, but sure enough, it did.
Idiot.
All right, so that first wave of stormtroopers are dead. Mando again.
That was like a clown car of troop transports.
It was.
By the way,
it was.
I couldn't believe how many stormtroopers came out of that thing.
Mando trying to get Grogu out of his force connection, then he gives up again. He's like, "Okay, I'll protect you, I guess." And then as he walks away, it disconnects, and we see Grogu kind of falls asleep because anytime he uses the force that strong, he just doesn't have it in him. Mando goes back down. He's with Fennec Shand. There's a new troop transport coming down, a new troop transport. So a few more stormtroopers come out. Mando uses the whistling birds on his arm, kills some of them. Then he starts taking a ton of shots to that Beskar, but he's actually starting to fall back a little bit. They're kind of cornered. Him and Fennec Shand, they're doing their best to fend them up. The stormtroopers are cornering them. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Boba Fett went into the Razor Crest and flies in with the Boba Fett armor. And for the first time since Return of the Jedi, we see Boba Fett in all of, I want to say all of his glory, but old rusty glory, basically.
Yeah. Not even all of his glory. For the first time ever, we see him do something glorious, period.
Yeah,
because he's actually
cool.
He shot people, he killed people, he had fucking lasers shooting out of his kneecaps. Like, there was the coolest shit I've ever seen coming from Boba.
My favorite Easter egg, and we'll show it when we get the Easter eggs. The kneecap thing is my favorite Easter egg, hands down. But yeah, Boba Fett arrives in the armor, got it out of the Razor Crest, uses the arm rocket, puts the arm rocket in Stormtrooper's chest and fucking blasts him off into a boulder. There's so many badass and gruesome kills in this that you just you don't often see in Star Wars. And that's the beauty of Mandalorian. It's a lot of familiar things done in a new way, and it's so refreshing. Stormtroopers retreat. They're like, fuck this guy. This guy's a lunatic. Hey, this guy's going to kill us all immediately.
The kneecap rockets is what turned him off. That was the moment when they're like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Like, what is that coming out of his knees? The most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. They showed why.
They fly away, and then finally, we did see Cobb Vanth. We saw Timothy Oliphant do it in the first episode, but now Boba Fett, finally the one, puts down the rangefinder, fires the rocket from his jetpack, takes out a ship that collides into the other transport. They explode. He even joked. Boba's got a sense of humor. He's like, I was aiming for the other one. Yeah. So it was.
How many of these rockets does Mando have? There's so many of these jetpack rockets. It's all over the place.
It's the Hawkeye thing from Avengers. They just kind of replenish.
Just naturally come back over time.
It was for Boba Fett and Star Wars fans, for fans of the action figure. It was just one of those moments where. Again, I'll use the word fulfilling because Boba Fett, no matter how much anyone likes him, like we just said, never really did anything cool. Just never did anything cool. He just died. He died like a loser. He like the loser that he was. He fell.
All right. Now you're going a bit much, Jeff.
Now I'm ready to retract. We got more episodes with him coming up too, but I'm ready to retract. I think Boba Fett finally showed up. He put the chips on the table. He's like, guys, I'm cool.
This is the coolest he's ever been, without a doubt. It's not even
hard to
close.
be cooler, and that's not a diss. Like, hard to be cooler than what he just did in this episode.
And his costume from this episode is without a doubt going to be the most popular cosplay of all time when the units realize we could just throw on like a little armor over a Jedi robe and we're good.
Exactly. You don't need to expand the armor set at all. You just put on a robe, put on some, ill-fitting armor, and it looks totally fine. You happen to be Mandalorian Boba.
Great choice, I thought, here by the Mandalorian creators, because you always run a risk in these. We got a lot of saving the day. We need to feel like our characters are in danger. All of a sudden, Moff Gideon's ship fires on the Razor Crest, blows it to smithereens. That thing... For finally, that thing is done.
Orbital strike, man. That's the shout out to the Battlefront 2. We love to see those, even if it is against
me. I mean, why don't you get a Razor Crest Memorial hoodie right now?
This is RIP Razor Crest episode.
I didn't think that they were going to be Memorial hoodies when I put them out a week ago, but fuck you, Moff Gideon.
Like, again, I think needed to happen. Give us a little on edge. Like, all right, not all is going to be great for Mando. That's not being repaired.
He's going to bring it back to that same fucking Mon Calamari. He's like, hey, can you do something with this? I got this one rusty piece.
Still going to be like hands on his hips. I don't know.
All right, so after Gideon fires down, you kind of know what's coming because at the beginning of the episode, they did a flashback of a couple episodes ago. We saw the Dark Troopers, and we get confirmed. He says, send in the Dark Troopers. And there go the Dark Troopers. Mando, back up the hill. Has to go now chase. Again, get the fucking jetpack. Maybe you lost it. You couldn't find it. He needed it's like he's walking in a parking lot with his keys trying to find it.
He put it in a bush, yeah.
He couldn't find it. So he runs back up the hill, but by the time he gets there, these Dark Troopers, which are as badass as I imagine they would have looked, they look very similar to one of the versions, the Phase 1 Dark Trooper, which are the robot version from the expanded universe, from whatever canon they still exist in, but to see the Dark Troopers, very, very cool. That's another crazy payoff from years ago.
Like those Death Troopers from Judge Dredd. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the big beige-looking ones. Oh, they were so cool looking.
They look, and we'll throw it up on the screen here. They look exactly like the Phase 1 version. And we broke it down a couple episodes ago. The Dark Troopers are it's a fairly dark story in terms of then they tried to combine them with clones at one point, and the clones started killing themselves. It was all fucked up. So the Dark Trooper storyline is no pun intended, very dark. So they fly in. Baby Yoda's still kind of asleep. They capture Baby Yoda just as Mando arrives, and they jetpack or they rocket, and they have the rocket chutes. They're like Iron Man. They rocket off back into space to the light cruiser of Moff Gideon. Slave 1 follows them. Boba's like, all right, I'll track them. Mando and Fennec Shand are like, don't shoot at them. They have the child, and he says, all right, I'm just gonna follow and see where they're going. And then he goes through the clouds, and this is kind of an aha moment for some people in this galaxy, I guess, for Fennec Shand and Boba Fett, and for those watching, that not everyone's aware the Empire is there. Mando's had his run-ins, but not everyone's aware that the Empire is kind of still kicking.
He did the Cornelius Fudge. He did the back.
Yeah, he says
Yeah.
they're back. And Fennec Shand says that's impossible. Like the Republic has the control of this, and he says nope. He goes it's not a spice dream. Remember, Han Solo was a spice runner. Han Solo just sold drugs. People forget that. He's like, not a spice dream. Like, I know what I see. And then the Imperial ship, it blasts off into hyperspace. Towards the end of the episode, we see Mando going through the wreckage. Of course, he finds a little ball. You knew he was going to find the ball from the lever in the ship. And he gets the Beskar spear staff, which that just can't be destroyed. Beskar is as good as it gets.
Make the ship out of Beskar, man. Come on.
Yeah, seriously, make a Beskar. I hope he does. Maybe the next Razor Crest is out of Beskar. That's a good point.
Awesome.
That's a lot of Beskar, though. He will need
Yeah.
quite a bit.
A lot of side quests.
Yes. A whole lot.
Many spin-off series.
20 hours of playtime minimum.
Boba shows him a code in the armor and says, "Look, I just wanted to prove to you." What a nice guy Boba is. He's like, "Hey, man, I just wanted to show you.
He is, yeah.
This is my father's armor. Like my name is in here. It was owned by my father, Jango Fett." And Mando realizes, and this is a big moment, which we will get to and explain in a second. Says that Jango Fett was a Mandalorian. He was a foundling, much like Mando. So he was saved by Mandalorians, a foundling, orphaned basically, and then became a Mandalorian that way, which is fairly big Star Wars news, and we'll break it down in a minute. So Boba's accepting of that. He's like, wow, your father fought in the Mandalorian Civil Wars. That's a big deal to me. And they kind of agree. And he's like, look, you honored your deal. I got you everything. You helped protect me as best you could. Like, we'll part ways. And Boba's like, no. The honor here is – the honoring the deal is that I told you I would help you protect the child. We're going to help you get GROGU. Plus, he's got no fucking ship. Which, if you watch Clone Wars, you know that there's an older moment I'll harken back to, which a bunch of people on like the Star Wars Reddit have brought up. When Boba was a kid, Hondo, the character Hondo, convinced him to give information to Plo Koon and said, do the honorable thing. The Jedi Plo Koon said, that's what your father would do. That's what Jango Fett would do. So Boba is a man of honor. He's a bounty hunter. Scoundrel, but he's a man of honor.
He's got the code. He's got the code.
Yep,
Why didn't you just say this to Mando earlier? It's like, just be like, yeah, my dad fought in the Mandalorian Civil War, so you're correct. He is Mandalorian.
It's like the Martha
he's a
thing
foundling.
in Batman, Superman. It's like just talk. Just talk first.
Say the thing ahead of time.
Yeah. So they go back. They go into the Slave One ship. They go to Navarro. We see that Cara Dune is basically a rebel space cop now.
She took the pilot's wings from.
She took the.
She apparently was just like, you know what, I'm in.
She didn't care that he offended her and asked if
you lose anyone
who died when the entire planet blew up. So she's just kind of chilling there. And this is another surprising thing. Mando says, "Hey, I need to track a prisoner down." Mayfeld, Bill Burr. He's looking. So nice. Bill Burr is apparently not supposed to be in this season. He said he wasn't in it, but it seems as though we're probably going to get Bill Burr. And she's like, "Look, I can't really help you out. Like, I don't like the Empire, but like I have rules and regulations now." And he said, "But they have the child," and that cuts off Mando's Din Djarin storyline for this episode. We end in the Imperial cruiser, Moff Gideon's ship. He goes to a prison cell. And we see Baby Yoda just beating the shit with the Force out of stormtroopers, which shows a little anger. He's got a little anger going on.
Did a little choke too on both of them.
He's choking
at the end.
Lends to what maybe Ahsoka said. He got captured. He's angry. He has lost. He lost Din Djarin, lost Mando, so he's mad now.
He choked Cara Dune at one point too, didn't he? I mean, he can choke people. He has a mean streak.
Mando's no joke. So they so Moff Gideon kind of corners him. I think Baby Yoda killed the stormtroopers. I'd imagine they look very dead. He goes down and he's like, a little 50-year-old baby, I'm going to intimidate the shit out of you. And he pulls out, I got it right here. He pulls out the Darksaber, second time we've seen it, puts it in his face, taunts him. He's like, you see this shit?
Like that.
You like this
You seen one of these before from back when you were a student?
Yeah, you remember these? But he doesn't, though, because Baby
Yoda tried to touch it. He was like, look at that.
Baby was like, they make black ones? Like, what? I've only seen purple, green, blue. It's like, that's crazy. And he says, no. He goes, you're not ready for one of these, which that just feels like an absurd tease, by the way.
Yeah.
That feels like a tease that Baby Yoda is going to get a lightsaber at some point. That felt notable. And then he says, all right, stun this little kid. We're putting him to sleep and puts him in the tiniest handcuffs of all time.
Yeah. Stormtrooper just had that. He's like, I have ring-sized handcuffs in my pocket. Don't worry about it.
And that's the end of the episode. You're right. If that had been any longer, like, I don't know what they would have done. It would have been almost too much. Like, it was the perfect length because of how much went on. It was very fast paced. You had to kind of catch your breath at the end of it. Breakneck speed, but again, right up what you would expect with Robert Rodriguez directing. And we'll say that's our first Easter egg. It is Robert Rodriguez from Dusk Till Dawn, Spy Kids, Machete, Sin City, Alita, Battle Angel. If you know his movies, you knew he was doing this one. It had that look to it. Maybe he'll convince Tarantino to do an episode one day. Not that that's really Tarantino's. That's not his bag, baby. But you never know.
He almost did Star Trek. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anything's possible with Tarantino at this point.
Yeah.
I agree in the length too. Just because when I had started the episode, I checked it and I'm like, oh man, like 29 minutes. This sucks.
Yeah.
I want more out of this. But then like halfway through the episode, I like just checked the time and I'm like, I'm already halfway through. Like this is insane.
Yeah.
Like it was I think the perfect length just because the action took up such a large bulk of it. And if it went on any longer, it'd been like, okay, when are we going to move on and see some more? And everything was just perfect. There wasn't like a wasted frame or shot really. You can only
beat Stormtroopers up so much. And I do appreciate the series making sure you know they're fucking losers. Stormtroopers stink. Like they're just.
This was kind of like a video game level. Another episode where I was like, this would be a very fun level to play in a video game.
Yes. But I agree. I thought Rodriguez did a fantastic job. I was skeptical because I don't love all of Robert Rodriguez's stuff, but I thought he killed it here. This is perfect. This is a perfect episode for him to direct. Boba Fett Easter eggs, quite a bit of them. We've mentioned a bunch. We see the Slave One ship. We've seen that plenty before, but again, always cool to see it flying. Cool to see it landing the way that it did too. We haven't seen Boba Fett land the ship like that. We see the knee rockets, which I remember from the Visual Encyclopedia. And I'll tell you what, I was bummed. I'm like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to find that. Star Wars Reddit right on it. Picture of it this morning up on the Star Wars Reddit. It was right there in all its glory. I'll never forget when I ever first saw it, I was like, knee rockets. Like, he's not going to use his knee rockets. And when he puts his that might be the most on-the-nose Easter egg reference on this episode. You know Dave Filoni was like, hey, by the way, he's got to do knee rockets. I've been trying to. So he shoots the knee rockets. We see him use the rangefinder finally, not just an antenna. And then he does have a quote. He's like, and when he first meets Mando, he says, I'm a simple man making my way through the galaxy.
That was maybe a bit much. And
it was very on the nose. Yeah.
Only because he said, even after that, like, it would be fine if he just said the line. He's like, yeah, like my father before me.
Like,
it's basically
my father. Remember him?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was maybe a little bit much, but
my father said this to Obi-Wan Kenobi in Attack of the Clones. Yeah, it's like
have you seen it?
Beatles, but yeah, yeah. So there were a lot of small Easter eggs. Nothing crazy because we'd seen the Boba Fett armor already, but just a couple small Boba Fett nods. There might be more that I missed. Tons of Stormtroopers this episode, the most that we've seen in Mandalorian, maybe tied with that finale from last year because they were all just kind of standing there. We saw the commander. We saw with again, I'm calling it a sand trooper thing. That's the sand trooper look, the pauldron, the orange pauldron. The mortar stormtrooper, that was new. We saw the E-Web heavy repeating blaster, or whatever it's called. Awesome weapon. Though, how awesome. It continues to get destroyed.
Yeah.
Destroyed or used against them.
Yeah.
Mando was able to use it in episode 1 of the entire series, and it was very successful in that one.
He killed everybody in 2 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. Little hint to the maybe the future, the First Order. We saw the same, not the same, similar troop transports to what we saw in The Force Awakens. The first scene of The Force Awakens, when the stormtroopers land, they go see Lor Santeca. Finn walks out of one of those similar troop transports. And then finally, we have not seen a stormtrooper use the stun feature with the blue ring in a long fucking time. We've heard him talk about it, but I don't know if we've seen it since
Rebels and Clone Wars is the only thing I think.
Live action, just A New Hope.
Yeah, I think that was
it.
Prison ship mugshots. There's a bunch of mugshots. Some people say Nick Frost was one of them.
That the bigger dude with the beard?
I don't know. That's going around. I don't know. I'm not saying
I thought
they're
Jack
wrong.
Frost for a second. I was like, they put the fucking snowman in there.
I mean, Simon Pegg has been in Star Wars, so like, I don't know about that one. I'm skeptical. I did not think it looked like him. But one of a string of those mugshots were the crew that attacked Mando and Grogu on Tatooine. A couple of the mugshots were that same crew from that second episode that attacked in the beginning of the episode, and he shot the little guy up into space and dropped him to his death. It was those same characters. Unconfirmed Easter egg, kind of the last one here. I've seen this before. I can't tell on this one either. A lot of people think that Kylo Ren's theme is playing when Baby Yoda. They have the blue butterflies. We've seen the blue butterflies before. I know Ben Solo in canon stuff loved the Endor blue butterflies. We've seen them in this show before, though, as well. So I do want to note that. They're messenger butterflies, which makes sense. He's making that Force connect. But I don't know if it's that, because I've seen some other people break down that they think it's just a reimagined version of Baby Yoda's theme. They just kind of reimagine it for that scene. So I don't want to go too far in the Kylo Ren thing, because that
I think it's coincidence. I've heard it as well, and it does sound vaguely familiar. And at any time it does,
but if you
like
listen
that happens in Star Wars, it's like, okay, but I don't think it's.
If you listen to Grogu's theme, Baby Yoda's theme, when he is using the Force to push the fire away in the finale from last season, it's very similar to that. So I'm not buying that one. I'm not buying into, even though it does sound similar, and I could be dead fucking wrong there. But I've seen kind of people go back and forth on those. Those are all the Easter eggs. Not a heavy Easter egg episode, because they were all kind of just in your face that were there. Nothing crazy hidden. I'm sure I might have missed one or two. I can't read Orbesh. I can't read the writing, so I don't know if there's anything that's in there that I missed. Audience questions. JRK's Bad brings up a point that I said I would get to, and that is about Jango Fett. He references this audience question, the Clone Wars, where this Mandalorian character Almec told Obi-Wan that Jango was not a Mandalorian. He said, Jango Fett was a common bounty hunter. How he acquired that armor is beyond me. So it's been thought, and the Star Wars Twitter account even tweeted this out not long ago, that no, Jango Fett, not a Mandalorian. And so for all this time, we figured Boba Fett, not a Mandalorian as well. It's always been kind of a gray area, but that's where people have landed. But now we get confirmation that he was. And you're going to see the word retcon thrown around, but I kind of believe it. In KenJac, you know Clone Wars well. Almec, a bit of a liar, and also, not it's a bit of a liar, a massive liar. He was full of complete shit when he talked to Obi-Wan of the Jedi. But also, the Mandalorian Civil War, he was a very pure Mandalorian person, a purist, and I imagine maybe he just didn't respect the fact that Jango was a foundling and not born through Mandalorian blood.
True.
That's kind of how I'm taking it.
He was extremely corrupt, Almec. Like, he just took whatever side happened to be at the table, and he's like, yeah, I'll help you. I'll help you. Like, he helped Sabine in the beginning, became corrupted, got put in jail. Like, I don't think you should take his word for anything that he says during any of it. And again, Filoni is very involved in this. I don't think he would make a mistake like that.
Yeah, again, Filoni, yeah. So it's not as much like a retcon or mistake. I think he's just clearing up what makes sense. That Almec, that Clone Wars character, a liar, probably didn't like the fact that, again, they referenced the Civil War, like Jango fought in it, that Jango, not a pure blood Mandalorian. That's probably why he broke off and did what he did and helped out the Empire. So a lot more is going to be uncovered there, I imagine, through the Boba Fett spinoff series that we are going to get. But Boba Fett through blood, as long as Jango Fett's a Mandalorian, Boba Fett a Mandalorian as well, just a different viewpoint than Din Djarin, who is as radical as they come. The guy just the guy refuses to take off that helmet. Yeah, he's nuts. At Kirby Boehm says, did Mando get his jetpack back at the end? I don't know. Was he wearing it when he was talking to Cara Dune? I didn't care to look.
I didn't even recognize it. I'll have to watch it again. I don't know.
Buddy, you got to track the jetpack better than that.
Yeah.
Like, you got to know where it is. He ran up and down that fucking hill so many times. I actually laughed at one point. I was like, Jesus, dude. Stay in one place. And then finally, at Radio Bill 1210 said, bold of Mando to try and break Grogu's Force connection. Not once, but twice. He just kept going at it. And for a second, I'm like, oh, I think he's going to do it. And then when he didn't, I was happy. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Fuck that. Like what is he doing here? Like, but he doesn't understand the Force. So I also understand. I also get that. He doesn't know the Force well enough where he's lost by it. He's like, what is this magic?
No jetpack, wizardry. By the way, when he talks to Cara Dune. So the jetpack is MIA as far as we know of currently.
What the fuck? Bro, we waited like the whole first season for that thing.
How did you leave that thing? That's it, though. Not a ton of other questions. I think a lot of this episode pretty clear. But I'll throw one more out there. What Jedi do you think now is going to come to the aid of Grogu? I'm pretty confident it's Ezra Bridger.
Here's my issue with that is that I think if Ezra was casted, we would know. Because every other casting made its way. Like Ahsoka Tano.
There have been rumors, though. That one guy.
I know, but like, I
the
feel
guy
like we
from
would
Blind Manor, right?
I think we would know if it was Ezra, and I think if we're going to get Sabine as well, as far as who's going to come to the rescue, because I think if Ezra comes back into the fold, I think we're going to get Sabine as well at the same time. And I think if either one of them were casted, we would know, or at least have a better inkling. You know what I mean? Like
Also,
if Ahsoka's getting casted, we're going to know who Ezra is.
Also worth noting that Dave Filoni commented on the final monologue of Sabine Wren at the end of Star Wars Rebels and didn't confirm that it took place before Mandalorian. That whole ending thing takes place after Return of the Jedi, because the monologue from Sabine talks about Harrison Dula, and I think we mentioned this in our last breakdown, fighting on the Battle of Endor. Mm-hmm. So they seem like they're maybe still searching for Ezra, but I'm convinced. I told myself this morning on the way in, the last thing we see this season is going to be Grand Admiral Thrawn. I
think we see him? Wow.
I think Thrawn is the. I think there's no way they don't end the season on the oh fuck reveal like the Darksaber again. They're gonna have one.
Yeah.
I imagine it's gonna be Thrawn, but I don't. I'm still saying. I'm still gonna say Ezra, but I think KenJac, you have a good point. But maybe it's just Yoda. Maybe it's just Force Ghost Yoda says something to him. I don't know. Tells Mando. I've seen people say maybe Mando's going to train him. So
Ezra makes the most sense by a million miles. But again, I'm very skeptical only because I think if there was a big Jedi character that we know that was casted, we would have heard something.
Yeah. That's it. Anything else? Great. It's another great fucking time. I love Friday mornings. There you go.
Memorial hoodie.
Can't buy this one, but
yeah, don't hold that one up, KenJac.
Admire it from afar if you want.
People are fucking screaming at the TV or whatever you're watching on right now. You get this one though. This is a hot seller.
Mm-hmm. That thing's like Beskar. Be careful wearing it down the street.
Yeah, seriously,
Jack.
That is. Yeah, that's it. We'll be back next week. Only 2 more episodes. The next episode I imagine to be a little longer than the finale the week after that, which is a bummer to even say. Man.
Next 2 episodes will probably be a 2-parter, right? Because last season we got basically sort of that sort of thing.
So I think we get the recruiting episode this next one. Like we're gonna get recruiting the rest of his team.
It makes sense that Bill Burr is in it. Rick Famuyiwa, who directed the Bill Burr episode in the first season, is back next week because he still has an episode. So I imagine it's him, but I don't know who's directing the last episode. If you account for everyone who's directing, they're all accounted for if Rick Famuyiwa directs the next one.
Might be Favreau.
It could be
Favreau
again. He might have
taken the finale for himself.
It could be him again, yeah.
I think we do recruitment, and then we do like the finale. Finale is like the end of whatever you want to call it, re-kidnapping.
The rescue mission,
Yeah.
Someone said to me like Avengers Light. You're going to have Ahsoka, you're going to have Bo-Katan. Which
it's sort of it. I thought of Avengers when he picked up the ball. I was like, oh, that's his trading card from Coulson.
Yeah.
Yes. Mark Ruffalo's going to ride on in. This seems horrible. All right, that's it. Make sure if you're on YouTube to like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. You know when these are out. Only 2 more episodes for KenJac and Robbie. I'm Jeff Lowe. We'll talk to you next week.